Today I'm going to be taking a look at some wheel and tire upgrades from Traxxas for the new TRX-4M. The tires are called the Mickey Thompson Baja Pro X's. I've also got the brass wheel weights, and I've got the Traxxas Beadlock wheels. I'll be showing you how to install these wheels and tires. I'll be showing how they look on both trucks, both versions of the truck. I'll be checking the compatibility with the SCX24 wheels and tires, and then I'll give my final thoughts at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and install these wheels and tires. I'll start by taking a look at these tires. On the Traxxas website, you can order both of these tires, and this is the aftermarket version that's not available on either truck. They don't come with any tire foams, so first impressions, they feel pretty good. Good tread pattern. Before you install these tires on your truck, just keep in mind that these tires are actually directional, and they should be installed like they are in this picture with the tread pattern pointing forwards. In the video, I don't think I do it correctly, so if you want your tires to look scale, then install them like this. This center ring, you pop into the middle here. It doesn't look like it needs to go any certain way. It doesn't look like there's a front or back to it. So I think it's going to be easier to install this front piece first. There's a lot of rubber on the inside of that ring, which makes it hard for this piece to fit in. There we go. Finally got it. I'll go ahead and try to line up this back piece. So the rings felt difficult at first to get in the tire, like they didn't want to go in at all, but once you get them in, they fit pretty snug and pretty secure. Like there's no messing around with the fitment like there is on some of the RC four-wheel drive SCX24 wheels and tires. Once they actually slide into place, they're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and just get each one of these screws seated, not tighten them down all the way just yet. And then once I get all these seated, I'll go ahead and tighten each one down in kind of a star pattern until they're all tightened completely. Alright, so now that I've got these wheels installed, I'll go ahead and do the same thing with the other wheel and tire, except for this one, I'll use the brass center ring. I feel like these are pretty necessary, especially with these wheels. Like if you're going to use these wheels, I would suggest buying these these brass weights, just because these are plastic and they weigh nothing. They're so light. You'll want to make sure that this this rubber lip on the inside of the tire is on the inside of this ring. This one almost feels harder to get in. Like it just does not want to go in there. Okay, yeah, that water helped a little bit. I think the key is to wet down the ring of the wheel itself, and then also wet down the inside of this rubber piece on the tire. I have to say that these wheel pieces were noticeably harder to get in when I used the brass wheel weight. Alright, so this is without the wheel weights. 21.3. So it looks like a difference of about 27 grams, which is, I would say, worthwhile. Personally, if I end up running these wheels and tires on the TRX-4M, I'm definitely going to be running those wheel weights. So here I've got them installed on the Defender version of the truck, and I feel a little mixed about how they look. I don't know if it's the wheels or the tires that I'm not 100% on. Maybe it's the fact that the stock wheels and tires just look so good on this truck. I think it might be the wheels. I don't know. I guess it's all subjective, but I personally don't think they look as good. The tires look very aggressive, and now that I have both sets of tires on the same truck, These aftermarket Mickey Thompson tires definitely feel like a softer, more sticky compound. The wheels, I'm not a huge fan on the way they look. I wish they weren't plastic. I don't know. I would say they look about the same as the stock wheels and tires. The advantage you get with these, obviously, is that these tires feel like they're going to be a better performing tire compared to the stock ones. And also, these are beadlock wheels, so that gives you the ability to swap on and off tires. So these wheels are vented, which I think a lot of people are going to like. The only downside to this would be that, you know, if you drive through water, you're going to get water trapped in these tires. Not a big deal, especially with them being beadlocks. You can just take them off, drain them out, put them back on. The dimensions of these tires are basically the same. The stock tires might be a little bit bigger, actually, just a tiny bit taller. But the widths are about the same. I would say really the only difference is in the way that the tire feels and the tread pattern. Here, the wheels and tires are on the Bronco body, and I'm kind of surprised because I thought these were for sure going to look better on the Defender. Honestly, I think they look better on this Bronco. That looks really good to me. The Defender just has a more aggressive looking body, so I thought they would fit together more. I mean, it doesn't look, these wheels and tires don't look bad on the Defender, but they really look good on this Bronco. Okay, before I take these off the Bronco, I wanted to mention the size difference, because if you look, you can tell these tires are noticeably smaller than the ones that come on the truck, which I didn't expect. You see how the stock tires fill out the wheel wells a little bit more compared to these aftermarket tires. So I guess the Defender and the Bronco stock tires are kind of about the same size. What it looks like here. Not what it seemed like when I compared the aftermarket Mickey Thompson tires to the stock Defender tires, but there you go. Real quickly, while I had these wheels and tires off of the other trucks, I wanted to put them on my SCX-24 just to show you how they looked. Not a great look, to be honest. They just look way too big. These wheels do fit on the SCX-24 though, just in case you were wondering. But in my opinion, these tires do not look good on this truck. So I took the tires back off of the Traxxas wheels, and I'm going to go ahead and see if this tire will fit on an RC four-wheel drive 1-inch wheel. Okay, I'm having issues installing this ring into this tire, into this Traxxas tire. I don't think this is going to work, unfortunately. So there's your issue. The ring of the Traxxas tires is a lot bigger than the one that comes with the RC four-wheel drive tires. Yeah, I just don't think this is going to work. They're not going together without some serious finagling. Now that we've seen that these tires, these two don't work together, I'm going to go ahead and see if the Traxxas wheels work with a RC four-wheel drive tire. I'll go ahead and use the Milestar Patagonias here. Honestly, I don't know why you'd want to use these two together, because I don't think these wheels look that great. But I guess maybe if you wanted to use the brass wheel weights with these tires, then let's see if that would work. It seems to fit. This will give you a couple options, so you can either run the RC four-wheel drive wheels and tires on the TRX-4M, or you can run the Traxxas wheels. If you want to run the Traxxas wheels, you can either run them with the RC four-wheel drive tires or the Traxxas tires. But you cannot run the RC four-wheel drive wheels with the Traxxas tires. Just make sure if you're going to run the RC four-wheel drive tires, I would probably recommend to go with something that's 2.2 inches in diameter or larger, because that's what these are, and they were looking a little bit on the smaller side on the Bronco, in my opinion. So yeah, I wouldn't go smaller than this. To give my final thoughts on these wheels and tires, let me first start off by talking about these wheels. I think these wheels are going to be a good option for two types of people. The first type is going to be someone who's more budget oriented. So for example, if you just bought your TRX-4M and you want to do some upgrades to it, but you're not ready to dump a whole bunch of money into it just yet. At 14 bucks for a set of 4 of these, I think they're a great option. They are beadlock wheels, which means that you'll be able to swap out the tires just by unscrewing this beadlock ring, and you'll be able to install upgrades such as this brass wheel weight, which will improve the performance of your truck. So for not a lot of money, you get a lot of options. The second type of person is going to be someone who's more concerned about performance over scale look. And I say that because there's a caveat to that. That's if you buy them with these weighted wheel rings, because without them, they only weigh about 8 grams, and I'm talking about the wheels only. But if you include the weighted rings, it brings the weight up to about 35.5 grams. So that's a really heavy wheel. It'll cost you about 54 bucks for a set of 4, which is not cheap, but compared to a lot of other options on the market, the amount of weight that you get for the price is pretty good. And another thing to consider is that they're vented from the factory, which means you won't have to cut your tires and you won't have to drill your wheels in order to get that vented performance. As far as the tires go, I think that these are going to be a good performing tire. Unfortunately, I don't have a set of 4 of these because my hobby store only had one of each TRX-4M upgrade part available, and I think that's because they're going out of business. But either way, once I get a set of 4 in, I'll be able to comment on the performance. But they do feel like they're going to perform really well. They have a good tread pattern to them. They have a good compound, and as far as looks go, I think they look great. They're licensed, so they look scale. And if you liked the way they looked on the trucks, then I would recommend picking some of these up. And as far as this whole combination goes, my recommendation is if you can afford these wheel weights, for sure buy these. Don't skip on these because they're quite heavy and they should improve the performance of your truck by quite a bit. So that's about it, and thanks for watching.